Okay, now I am going to use my freehand selection and I'm going to start cutting out the characters. Okay, so now we've cut up the main body part. Now we need to clean all these cut up body parts. First thing is I'm going to reduce the transparency of my original drawing so that I can see what I'm working with. And I just reduce the transparency by holding onto the visibility bar over here. And just make sure it's locked. And then I will take a look at the head. Now, the head will occasionally have multiple drawings, which will mainly be for the jaw when the character talks, or depending on what kind of character you have, if you have super deformed expressions, you may have multiple drawings for the head. But apart from that, the head is reasonably basic. And basically what we will do is we will just finish off the shape of the head and remove all the hair and the facial features, apart from the nose in this case. Now you get to one of the big problem areas in in terms of how you're going to set up a rig, which is the side view mouth. And the question which you're going to have to solve is what you're going to do when you deal with an open mouth. There are various ways of dealing with an open mouth, and you can use multiple effects to deal with an open mouth, but in this case I'm actually just going to remove the mouth entirely from the side view, and I am going to just create a hole in the drawing over here. I'm just going to select this curve and send it to the back. It doesn't so it doesn't come over these drawings over here. Okay, the next major thing to look at is going to be the hair. The hair is one of those things which is a bit more difficult because you're going to have hair surrounding a lot of characters' heads, which means it's going to be in the front and the back for the character. So in this case I actually have two layers for the hair, for the front and one for the back, but in the side view I have only included one side. You could include the back in this case as well if you were making the character more flexible. Okay, at this point, just to get a little bit of an idea of how things are actually working, I'm just going to do some basic parenting of these elements. Everything is going to be a child of the head, so I'm just going to parent the hair and take a quick look at it. So what you'll see is we've got this button over here which will give us a different view with letters in every node. That is very useful if you are trying to do paperless animation. We'll take the head and we will just make the hair the child of the head. And what you'll see straight away is one of the problems we have is we are actually seeing the back of the head in front of the face. There are various ways to do it, to sort this out. But probably the easiest is if we go to Edit and we select the back of the hair, you'll see a value over here, which is the stacking order. Just give it a stacking order of -1, and nothing happens because the current column is locked. Just do it again, -1, and make sure it is keyframed. And now the hair at the back of the head will be rendered behind everything else in the character. And because I shouldn't have anything else in this character which will go behind the back of the hair, that will be the furthest back. However, if I was to be animating other limbs in the character and was needing to have those go behind the hair in the animation, I would need to use a value greater than 1, so a -2 or -3 in terms of stacking order when I'm animating things to move behind the hair. Also see that I now have a small issue with the hair over here, so I'll just go and fix that quickly. Move on to the eyebrows. Now, the eyebrows don't really need much done with them. I have included the eyebrows as a single drawing and have not split the eyebrows up, and you can if you want to, but there are not a huge amount of things which you can do with the eyebrows. You can get a lot of expression using them, but you can quite easily do all the separate drawings, angry, surprised, and combinations of all of them with a single drawing. So it simplifies the rig not having too many other drawings for the eyebrows. Next we have the eyelids. Eyelids are like the eyebrows in that you are mainly going to have variants of blinking or squinting or widening of the eyes, most of which are going to happen together, and because of that I have kept them separately. You can easily do the asymmetric drawings you need with a single drawing for the eyelids rather than having to have multiple drawings. Now, one of the things to do with the eyelids, once we've deleted the eyes themselves, is I will just go over here, take my skin color and draw this. Does not need to be put in, and it could be done specifically on individual drawings, but I prefer to have these kind of things in the images from the start rather than having to worry about producing it in every drawing. These would basically cover where the eye is, because the eyelids are going to have to be on top of the eyebrows, and the eyelids are going to come forward, not on top of the eyebrows, on top of the eyes, and the eyelids are going to have to come forwards in terms of the stacking order so that they come in front of the eyes, but you don't want the pupil to show above the eyelid, and you can do it in various ways with masks, but this is one of the most straightforward ways of making sure that the pupil doesn't show above the eyelid. Okay, now I'm going to do the eyes. I have made eye 1 so that it is the one which is visible from the side view. The same with the arm and the leg. The arm and leg closer to the camera are both 1, and I've kept the eye separate as it is far more straightforward to manipulate those separately when you have both eyes visible. Okay, so I've now done the eyes. As you'll see, they're coming in front of the eyelids. Now, I don't want to do mountains of organization purely with the stacking order, because it then becomes very complicated remembering how things were stacked. So with the eyelids, I'm just going to drag them so that they are above the eyes in the X and just change the order that way around. Then we have the mouth. The front mouth at the moment doesn't need very much done to it, so that would be reasonably straightforward. But the side mouth, because I have cut the hole in the side of the head, I will just need to fix that up. Next we'll have the torso. Now the torso is pretty straightforward, and because we're using plastic, we are not going to be separating the neck from the torso, but I have separated the arms because even when using plastic, you've got a problem that you are going to need to have the arms separated from the character. Because the moment you get outside of a front view, these arms will have to be separated from this mesh if you want to deform them separately from the torso. The only thing which I really need to fix in the torso is the neck. Okay, now the other thing to note with the torso is we could, if we choose, we could have removed the skirt and done that as a separate layer to give more control with the animation if we're doing animation on the cloth with plastic, but I have chosen to keep those together at this point. And we will then move the torso column to be the other side of the head, and we should then be coming closer to having our character finished. Next we will just do the arms and the hands. Next we will do the arms, and what I've done with the arms is I've separated the arms and the hands, and there's a reason for this, in that I want to be able to swap out drawings on the hands. You can do plastic rig where you have the hands attached to the arms and swap out drawings of the entire arms, but it is easy to keep them consistent if the drawings are only swapping out the hands. Okay, now we're just going to do a little bit of scene organization, and just going to make sure that everything is parented to everything and in the right order before I get to the rigging.